Sri Lanka is in a crisis. COVID-19 has sent the economy into a tailspin, and it is in free fall now. Its Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe recently said that the country's economy has collapsed. The spillover of the crisis has reached Indian shores too. ITC has said that its first foreign venture in the hotel space has been hit. Earlier, the $300 million project in Colombo saw construction being impacted due to the 2019 terror incidents and then the pandemic. In April, a financial daily had reported that automotive firms like Tata Motors, Mahindra & Mahindra, Ashok Leyland and TVS Motors had stopped exports of vehicle kits to Sri Lanka and halted production at their Sri Lankan assembly units due to its precarious forex reserves and fuel shortages. According to an India briefing note by Dazan Shira and Associates, instability in Sri Lanka could affect Indian Oil, Airtel, Taj Hotels, Dabur, Ashok Leyland, Tata Communications, Asian Paints and State Bank of India. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka's share in India's total exports has declined from 2.16% in FY15 to just 1.3% in the first 10 months of FY22. India's exports to Sri Lanka are now nowhere near the $6.7 billion seen in 2014-15. Till January 2022, it stood at $4.49 billion in FY22.
Of course, to some extent, it has impacted, but since India has carved out a line of credit mechanism with Sri Lanka, initially for $500 million for petroleum exports and subsequently $1 billion by SBI, which covered most of the industrial inputs required by Sri Lanka. When I'm looking into the figures so far till the month of April, we have kept the momentum, and my first 4 months exports have shown an increase of around 50% plus for export to Sri Lanka. And we are hoping that since now tourism is opening, Sri Lanka will be in a position to manage the balance of payment position.
Prior to the pandemic, India was the top tourism source for Sri Lanka.
I think the immediate impact in the short term will be a disadvantage because a lot of movement that is not able to go internationally to the West or the other markets would have picked Sri Lanka. Not having that, they would definitely choose an Indian destination, but some of the demand is not going to travel at the moment. It would have been a great advantage if Sri Lanka was open. But in the long term, we're going to see some advantage because not only the domestic tourists, but also the inbound tourists, the international inbound, which comes into Sri Lanka, may choose India as an option like Kerala and Tamil Nadu and other destinations or Goa as an immediate alternative.
But there is a silver lining too. Since Sri Lanka has been the world's largest supplier of orthodox tea, calls to Indian planters and exporters from foreign buyers of the commodity are pouring in. Big Sri Lankan importers from Iran, Turkey, Iraq and Russia are reportedly visiting Kolkata and tea plantations in Assam. As a result, at recent Kolkata auctions, the average price for orthodox leaf saw an increase of up to 41% compared to corresponding sales last year. And the fuel shortage in Lanka is crippling its apparel sector too. According to the US International Trade Administration, the apparel export industry accounts for about 44% of the country's total exports. Many apparel orders from the UK, EU and Latin American countries are now being diverted to India. Several orders have been given to companies in Tirupur, the hub of the textile industry in Tamil Nadu. Sri Lanka has been a strategically important partner for India. Even as some of our businesses are hit and some try to fill the void created by the Sri Lankan crisis, India's assistance in this time of need will only lead to better ties with the island nation that has long been leaning towards the Chinese camp.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
सब अच्छी दिख रही हैं यार, कौन सी खरीदूं? ये तो वही बात हुई, 4000 शेयर्स लिस्टेड है, कौन सा लूं? वो तो सबसे आसान है। तुझे 5 पैसा नहीं पता?
अब तो सबको पता है। 5 पैसा पर है 4000 स्टॉक्स की रिसर्च, टेक्निकल टूल्स और इन्वेस्टमेंट आइडियाज। डाउनलोड 5 पैसा नाउ।
अब तो सबको पता है, investing made easy and rewarding with 5 paisa. Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.